On this series before, we've covered uncontrolled decompression, when the Soyuz 11 space capsule lost pressure above Earth, resulting in the only deaths in space to this day. The crew of Soyuz 11 suffered under the effects of gradual decompression, but the speed and violence of decompression is governed by the size of the pressure vessel, the differential pressure between the inside and outside of the vessel, and the size of the leak hole. So what does a more rapid and forceful decompression do to the human body? Today we will be looking at an incident of explosive decompression. The Biford Dolphin is an offshore drilling rig owned by Dolphin Drilling, a Norwegian drilling contractor that operates in the North Sea. The Biford Dolphin has seen a number of fatal accidents, but the one we'll be looking at today occurred in 1983 while the rig was drilling in the Frigg gas field in the North Sea. A diving bell is a chamber designed to transport divers from the surface to depth so that the divers may perform underwater work. Diving bell generally doesn't have any internal controls for movement and is instead lowered by a winch. In concept, they're like an underwater elevator. A crucial feature of the diving bell is its ability to maintain a great internal pressure. As the bell must be opened underwater to allow the divers to exit, the bell must be pressurized internally to match the external pressure. This ensures that water does not flood the bell when the hatch is opened. In fact, the first diving bells, or wet bells, were not sealed at all, but open at the bottom. When they were lowered into the water, the air has nowhere to escape, thus creating a pocket of breathable air for the divers. The same thing can be demonstrated by submersing a glass in the kitchen sink. However, as the bell submerses further underwater, the pressure of the water increases, and it compresses the air as it slowly fills the chamber. The further down it goes, the more water is pushed in, and the smaller the breathing space becomes. We've since made many advances with the technology, and diving bells are now sealed, and the internal pressure can be increased to match the massive external pressure. When the diving bell is brought back up to surface, it needs to be slowly decompressed back down to surface pressure before the occupants can leave. A little bit like how scuba divers must time their ascent very slowly to allow for a very gradual decrease in pressure. That process takes hours. Ascending too fast will cause decompression sickness, otherwise known as the bends, where the loss of pressure results in bubbles forming in the blood. The advantage of a diving bell is that instead of slowly timing the ascent in the water, which could potentially be dangerous, the decompression can be done entirely on the surface in a controlled environment, the decompression chamber. The diving bell is attached and locked to the decompression chamber, and then the divers migrate into the chamber where the pressure is slowly reduced from the very high pressure that was required in the diving bell to the surface pressure. Now the divers are free to leave the chamber. This is exactly what was happening on the Biford Dolphin at 4 a.m. Saturday, the 5th of November 1983. 4 divers, Edwin Coward, Roy Lucas, Bjorn Bergeson, and Truls Elevik, were in the chamber waiting to be decompressed. Outside the chamber, 2 dive tenders, William Crammond and Martin Saunders, are assisting the men. The pressure inside the chamber is 9 atmospheres. It must be decompressed to the external ambient of
I don't understand a damn thing. He just said 9 atmospheres.
pressure, 1 atmosphere. The diving bell is clamped to the chamber via a trunk, which the diver...
So this shit is, this pressure is like, I'm in this, it's like, you know, you're in a soda bottle or something, right? You know, when you shake up the soda, that acid in there and make them bubbles. And then when you and when you open the top, it just explode out, right? So that's what they're saying. So I'm compressed. It's like they're saying there's like a whole bunch of pressure on my body, and I'm really ready to explode. And if you open up this door, all that pressure is gonna hit my body, and I'm gonna explode. I'm gonna feel the real pressure. I'm just at this pressure now. But if you open this door and let the real, you know, and expose me, and I'm just gonna disintegrate. I'm gonna explode because I'm being smashed. But because I'm in this chamber, I don't feel it.
divers travel through to get into the chamber. Then the diving bell door must be closed, and the pressure inside the diving bell is slightly increased to seal the bell door more tightly. The door from the chamber to the trunk is then closed. The trunk is slowly depressurized on the 5th of November 1983. 4 divers
1983. This is the chamber,
are
y'all.
free to leave the chamber.
There go the chamber, y'all. See? While you in this, everything is okay. And he go the round door. He had this halfway open. And he just got, and he was the closest one to it. Everybody else got smashed up against a wall or a fire extinguisher or any of this shit in here. You're going to get smashed up against it. It's like it's going to throw you against it. And now he got pushed out like a soda can, right? He got pushed out. And the door was halfway open like this. And he was right next to it, and it just cut him in half, right? Because all that pressure, all his guts and everything, it just cut him in half because it was pushing. Everybody else got killed too, but he was next to that door, and it just split him in half.
This is exactly what was happening.
The pressure is pushing everything out of that chamber. It's like a soda can. It's pushing everything out.
The Byford Dolphin at 4 a.m. Saturday, the 5th of November 1983. 4 divers, Edwin Coward, Roy Lucas, Bjorn Bergeson and Truls Elevik were in the chamber waiting to be decompressed. Outside the chamber, 2 dive tenders, William Crammond and Martin Saunders, are assisting the men. The pressure inside the chamber is 9 atmospheres. It must be decompressed to the external ambient of surface pressure, 1 atmosphere. The diving bell is clamped to the chamber via a trunk, which the diver...
So this is what they came out of, and that's where that was that atmosphere, because they went underwater. And now they got to get in this other thing right here, and then they're going to turn it down slowly. You know, the pressure down to decompress them. But they got to get it, but you can't come out of here just in the air. You got to go through that process first.
There's travel through
this thing
to get
right
into
here,
the chamber. Then the diving bell
really
door must
smashed.
be closed, and the pressure inside the diving bell is slightly increased to seal the bell door more tightly. The bell door must be closed, and the diving bell is clamped to the chamber by it must be decompressed to the waiting to be decompressed. Outside the chamber, 2 dive tenders, William Crammond and Martin Saunders, are assisting the men. The pressure inside the chamber is 9 atmospheres. It must be decompressed to the external ambient of surface pressure, 1 atmosphere. The diving bell is clamped to the chamber via a trunk, which the divers travel through to get into the chamber. Then the diving bell door must be closed, and the pressure inside the diving bell is slightly increased to seal the bell door more tightly. The door from the chamber to the trunk is then closed. The trunk is slowly depressurized and the diving bell is removed. The chamber can now be decompressed. Following this procedure, the diving bell door was closed and sealed after the 4 divers had taken their place in the chamber. But before diver Hellevick could close the trunk door, something went wrong. For some reason, Tender Crammond opened the clamp between the diving bell and the trunk before the trunk was sealed. A catastrophic error.
What?
The chamber explosively decompresses.
The guy on the outside made the mistake. He opened the door before it was sealed. He was just this dude over here cramming. He opened it. He unloosened this, and now that's still open. So they exposed to that crushing pressure.
Diving bell and the trunk before the trunk was sealed. A catastrophic. Something went wrong. For some reason, Tender Crammond opened the clamp between the diving bell and the trunk before the trunk was sealed. A catastrophic error. The chamber explosively decompresses from a pressure of 9 atmospheres to 1 atmosphere. The diving bell is propelled from the system, striking both tenders. Tender Crammond is killed. Tender Saunders is severely injured. Inside, the 4 men have just been subjected to incredible force. The air would be forced from their lungs violently, causing substantial damage. The reduced pressure causes ebullition, formation of gas bubbles in the body. which results in tissue damage. In explosive decompression, great force is exerted out of the leak in the vessel. This caused the diving bell to be propelled from the trunk. But inside the chamber, everything is rushing towards the hole. Diver Hellevik is standing beside that hole, being subjected to the greatest pressure gradient. The circular door is jammed, leaving a crescent-shaped opening, which is 24 inches across at its widest point. Hellevik is sucked into the opening. The extreme force tears Hellevik apart and projects his internal organs outside the chamber. While Hellevik's body saw the most extreme trauma, the 3 other divers are also killed. An investigation concluded the cause of the accident was human error, with Tender Cramond opening the clamp before Hellevik had closed the trunk door. The outdated diving system lacked fail-safes to prevent this, and why he did this is unknown. It's speculated there had been a miscommunication between Hellevik and Cramond, but it's a mystery they took with them to the grave. Who can say what went through their minds during their last moments?
Damn, I know they got squished. I know that, bartender. Here we go, bartender. For fair use and educational purposes. Another episode of Carmen's Kitchen. No fronting on the future. This one is about what would you do if you was in an airplane and it turned all the way upside down. I mean, can you handle it? I mean, can you? Can you handle it, bartender?
Get caught up in thinking about the plane suddenly falling out of the sky and the forces that would be applied to our body as we hurtled towards the ground. You get a very slight idea of the feeling when you experience
I mean, I could handle it if it was just like gliding down. Then I knew we had a chance. They could probably, land, if it was right side up. But if it's upside down, we ain't gliding no more. We falling straight down. It's like the engine stalled, and we just dropping out the sky. That's different from gliding. If we gliding, then I could say I had enough time to say my prayers. But if we just falling out the sky, it's too late. That's why I say keep God on your side.
Turbulence or
God is real, ain't no
steep
mistakes.
bank or climb.
Only God
and
can
for
save
some
you
people,
now.
even that is more than enough. But what if by steep I meant 90 degrees and a flight path so extreme that at times the plane was upside down? This is the nightmare the passengers of Aeroflot Flight 593 have to endure for 2 hellish minutes.
Nothing like being there.
These are their last moments.
Nothing like being there. Bartender.
On the 23rd of March 1994, Russian state-owned Aeroflot Flight 593 was scheduled to leave Moscow and arrive in Hong Kong. The airliner was an Airbus A310-304, carrying 63 passengers and 12 crew members. Many of the passengers were Hong Kong businessmen returning from business trips in Russia. The captain is Andrei Viktorovich Danilov, 40 years of age with 9,675 hours of flight time under his belt. He will pilot the plane for the first several hours when he will take a break before resuming control for the landing. Beside him is relief pilot Yaroslav Vladimirovich Kudrinsky, 39 years of age with 8,950.
You know what I like about this story, even though it's tragic, is that if you watch the events unfold and you tell me that it's more to it than just, they made a mistake. It's more like karma, because how did it even happen in the first place? You know what I mean? It's like, it ain't no mistakes, because there ain't nobody sabotage nothing. Even though he let his grandson sit in the cockpit and deal with the instruments, they still could have just put it on autopilot and did it like that. But it seemed like the only problem was the guy tried to be a hero and try to do it manually, and he panicked instead of just putting it on autopilot and let the plane self-correct itself.
Hours of experience. He will take control of the aircraft during Captain Danilov's break. The first officer, that is the plane's second in command, Vich Kudrinsky, 39 years of age with 8,950 hours of experience. He will take control of the aircraft during Captain Danilov's break. The first officer, that is the plane's second in command, is 33-year-old Igor Vasilyevich Piskarov. He will assume Kudrinsky's current position of co-pilot when Kudrinsky moves to the captain's seat. The recovered flight data recorders give us insight into the plane's flight path, and the CVR, or cockpit voice recorder,
So they pretty much
lets us
got
hear the conversations
similar amount
the
of
pilots
hours
had
when it comes
and
to flying.
explains what happens during the flight.
950 hours.
Captain Danilov's
Some
stint piloting all goes to
9,050
plan,
hours.
and after about 4 hours, he hands his seat over to Kudrinsky and leaves the cabin. One of the passengers of the flight, Vladimir Makarov, is an off-duty pilot and a friend of Kudrinsky's. He is looking after Kudrinsky's 2 kids on their first international flight. Kudrinsky's daughter, Yana, is 12 years old, and his son, Eldar, is 15. After some time passes with Kudrinsky in control, Makarov brings his children to the cockpit to see their father, and Makarov himself sits down in the jump seat. Although against regulations, it's not unheard of to have guests inside the cockpit, especially pre-9/11, and many children of pilots have probably seen the inside of a cockpit on at least one occasion. It is nearing midnight as they fly over Siberia. With the plane on autopilot, Kudrinsky lets his daughter Yana sit at the controls to give her the impression that she was piloting the plane. Shortly after, his son Eldar is allowed to do the same. But the illusion of control is about to become reality as Eldar turns the control column far enough to partially override the plane's autopilot. This goes...
Wait. I thought y'all said he was on autopilot. What y'all even letting that kid touch the controls for? When you seen him turning shit, who the fuck let him turn something? And who the fuck let this guy, he ain't even the fucking captain, the co-pilot, bring his damn kids in while the fucking captain ain't watching? It's like they snuck in there. Because I'm sure the captain would have been like, oh, hell no. Man, no, fuck this. You know what I mean? So it was that other guy who was acting all like he violate all the rules.
Was unnoticed by Kudrinsky as he is distracted by Yana. Eldar then realizes the plane is still turning.
Now he don't notice that what's didn't happen. The hell you mean? He done put somebody in charge of the plane, a little kid, and then he looking somewhere else talking to his other little daughter, and he don't know what's happening. Nigga, this ain't the Cosby's. What the fuck you doing, nigga? This ain't your house. This is a plane. The fuck, man? That dude was really, he should have been fired. He didn't put Elder.
Partially override the plane's autopilot. This goes unpiloting the plane. Shortly after, his son Eldar is allowed to do the same. But the illusion of control is about to become reality as Eldar turns the control column far enough to partially override the plane's autopilot. This goes unnoticed by Kudrinsky as he is distracted by Yana. Eldar then realizes the plane is still turning even after he's let go of the control.
Well, what the fuck you mean Elder realizes? He just a kid. Where the fuck is the pilot at? Oh, he still think it's on autopilot. And then the kid is like too afraid to say, hey, you know what? This plane ain't on autopilot no more. He don't even know. So you done gave him this responsibility and he done fucked up. And y'all blaming him now? See, it was that co-pilot's fault. He should have never did that.
The plane enters a 45-degree bank as Kudrinsky, Piskarov, and Makarov wonder what is happening.
Wonder?
Before they can come to a conclusion, the plane banks
and where was
90
the other
degrees.
pilot at?
The A310 was not designed to bank so steeply and begins to quickly lose altitude. The increased G-forces make it extremely difficult for the crew to regain control, and Kudrinsky is unable to get back into the pilot seat. The pilots yell commands at Eldar to turn the plane in the opposite direction. The remaining autopilot systems realize the plane is rapidly falling, and to compensate, pitch the nose up and increase thrust.
No, motherfucker. What the fuck you mean turn something this way and that way? Put it back on autopilot. What the fuck you talking about? Oh, you trying to make your son a hero now? He finna fuck up. You finna fuck up everything because he ain't no hero. All he doing is listening to what you saying. And you trying to show off and make it seem like, look, Elder, you flew the plane. No. Look, idiot, you crashed the plane. So see, that dude showing off, his ego is showing out again, and it's messing up everything. Just put the plane back on autopilot. Don't try, you don't even fly it no more, since you want to act like that. Just put it back on autopilot, man.
This causes the plane to stall. To correct the stall, the autopilot puts the plane into a nosedive.
Yeah. See, the autopilot is working.
During this, the G-forces reduce enough for Kudrinsky to retake his seat.
For
With
what?
the plane falling straight down, the pilots pull hard out of the dive.
No, they should have just let the autopilot do everything. It know what it's doing. You don't. You panicking.
Too hard. Overcorrecting the
See?
dive, they accidentally put the plane into a near vertical climb.
See that shit?
The G-forces reduce enough for Kudrinsky to retake his seat.
And what this is y'all think is air, right? But this is really water. What I mean by that is like the resistance. It's like when you in the water, that water ain't letting you go under, right? It's keeping you at a certain level. It's keeping you skimming across the top. But once the back of that boat hit the back of that water, it's going to flip the boat because now all of that energy is going on, is pushing against the back of the boat and it's going to flip the boat. That's what happened to this plane. All that energy hit that wind resistance, hit the back of that thing and flipped it. Just like if it was a boat on water. But it's
With the
air.
plane falling straight down, the pilots pull hard out of the dive.
See
Too
the air,
hard.
that wind resistance?
Overcorrecting the dive, they...
See, because that's going to put that wind resistance, because what I mean by they're going at like 400 miles an hour. That's like wind, nigga. That's like a hurricane. And that shit is going to alter that plane.
They accidentally put the
Gonna make
plane
it flip
into
over.
a near vertical climb, which once again stalls it.
See? It's just like it was riding on water.
The passengers, now well aware of the emergency situation, strap in as the stall causes the plane to fall out of the air into a corkscrew dive.
Oh, now you're upside down. Hey, they falling out the air, y'all. You see that, right? They falling, and they trying to get speed at the same time. So it's like they racing to the ground because they need speed to get back flat, so they can fly flat. See, they trying to turn flat, but they're gonna run out of room. We get out. To the right. Fuck, not again. It stalled again. Shouldn't have did that.
Amazingly, the pilots manage to level out the plane, but it's too late.
Yeah, that hero
They're
shit.
too close to the ground to recover.
Yeah, hero
The
shit.
plane crashes with a vertical speed of around 150 miles per hour
Yeah.
into a remote Russian hillside.
Vertical speed, that mean they falling.
all survivors. It was later found that had the pilots not attempted to correct the plane's path at all, that the autopilot would have eventually sorted it out and avoided the crash. For the 75 people on board Aeroflot Flight 593, this would have meant the terrifying ordeal would have just become a haunting memory. Instead, it was the last thing they ever experienced.
You see that? He's trying to be a hero, bringing his kids to work and shit. That's bullshit. They should have been fired him. That ain't the first time he did some stupid shit like that. I'll bet you. It finally caught up with him. Karma's Kitchen, y'all. What's in the oven? Look, y'all see it, bartender. It's the reason why so many kids is either crazy or in jail. Because they got, with mamas like this.